So I discovered that the Federal Reserve System was not a government agency. In fact, had very little to do with the government, except that the government took their secret document that they drafted on Jekyll Island. Then they took it back to Washington, D.C., and they redecorated it. They took an eraser. This is imaginary now. But imagine taking the eraser and erasing from the top of the page where it said cartel agreement, which it didn't, of course. But that's what it was. Imagine erasing that and then writing on top of it the Federal Reserve Act. Basically, what they did was that. They took a cartel agreement, they took it to Washington, D.C., and they sponsored it through a couple of their political influencers, and they made it into law. So now a private cartel agreement had the force and effect of law. And so you and I today are obliged to obey a private cartel agreement because the law requires us to do that. And we think that, well, if we don't do this, we go to prison, right? Well, only government can put you in prison. So therefore, this law is a government law, when in fact it is not. It is a private law that was publicized and made official government policy by passing it into law. Now, once you understand the basic root of this whole thing, now you can begin to understand why the Federal Reserve System never has met its proclaimed goals. Now, its proclaimed goals from the beginning, even to today, is how to stabilize the economy, how to make it best for the working man, for the average citizen, to protect his savings from being destroyed in the long term through inflation, for example. It's all about how they are going to protect us. That's what they say. But then you realize, well, wait a minute, they're a cartel. What does the cartel do? All cartels, without exception, have one purpose and only one purpose, and that is to advance the interests of the members of the cartel. Now, what they say could be something entirely different, but what they do is always that. Otherwise, they have no justification for even existing. That is what I discovered, and that is what I wrote about in my book, is what happens when you allow a private cartel to parade as a government agency, to dictate all policies regarding money and interest. All economic issues are dictated by this hidden hand that's pretending to be your government, and it's not. In fact, the Congress and the president, nobody can do anything at all about it according to the original act. They have no say-so. They can bring them up and ask questions and scold them and also, but they have no political power to do anything to affect the policies of the Federal Reserve System. Their only power is to abolish it. If they don't like it, they can abolish it. That's the only power they have. They know that the banking fraternity, let's call it, the business of international banking, it's really international, has so much power over the press, over the media, that they can make you or me look like an angel or a villain overnight, just by the way they twist the news. They know that it's very difficult, if not impossible, to win an election if the media is against you. And if you go against the Federal Reserve System, you will have the media against you. This is part of the hidden control mechanism. So they may not like the Federal Reserve. They may, like some of our more recent political figures, talked it down. Oh, we got to do something about the Federal. That's terrible. And they talk. But they don't do because they're afraid of this power that really controls them. To put the final cap on the answer to your question, what I wrote about, what the book is all about, is that I discovered the most shocking thing I never dreamed as a young man could possibly be true. And that is, instead of the federal government controlling the Federal Reserve System, it means the banks, control the government. And this is the core of most of our problems